Thanks for joining us for part 2 of the Run 8 Hesperia local on the Cajon sub. This one is just working the rest of Hesperia and shoving up the branch. First, we line our switch to move on up the branch and climb on the equipment to guide the shove back. Slowing up as we approach our first switch, we're going to put all of the cars that aren't bound for further up the branch on this spur so that we don't have to shove a long train the rest of the way up the spur. Setting up the handbrakes, very important on a grade like this. We're going to separate our train after the cars that are going up to Southern California components. Now we're going to be pulling upgrade. Notice we're all the way up to throttle notch 5 and not moving. We're going to have to apply some sand, which we can do from our rail driver remotely. And finally, we pull away from the rest of the cut. Moving pretty slowly even at throttle notch 5 and 6, as you can see at the top of the screen. And that will do. All of the cars on this cut are either going to Southern California Components. Those last box cars have VVC SCC on them, or they're going outbound on other trains because they've been picked up from the previous industries who switched in part 1. So we're going to just store all of these on this long spur so that we don't need to deal with them as we begin to switch the industries further up the branch. Since we'll ultimately be coming back to pick up these cars that are sitting here at Southern California Components, we're going to go ahead and join up to them now so that they'll be ready for us when we make the return trip. First car out's going to Tulsa, near where I live. Beyond it, I think Richmond, if I can read the RIC correctly, and below that I think it's Fresno FRS. Doesn't really matter, they're outbound. The green means they're empty, red means they're loaded, and orange or yellow is partially loaded.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on it. Thanks, Mike.
I'll just check the lineup. I'm already in a train on another.
All right, ladies, I'm back. Sorry.
Welcome back. I'm on 106 now with the Stockton cars. It's 3,635 feet long.
All right. I no longer need that if somebody's getting on Stockton train there on North Departure 1. If so, we could just pull that out in position for North Departure 1. When that train clears, we'll shove it in.
Okay, roger that. I'm pulling forward and waiting for North Departure 1 to go away and then shove it in.
Yeah,
That's
copy.
right.
The bar still 7361. We're just waiting for the track.
So Roger, do me a favor, please. Can you pull up tight to the signal?
In the world.
Thank you, sir.
Mike, that train stopped for a crew change here at West Bolton. I think he'll be on his way in a few minutes.
I'm gonna cross you over that way. I get. Johan, use the eastbound departure lead for your headroom there. Use the crossover, and then eastbound departure lead for headroom.
sorry, I don't have a clue what you say. What you're trying to say.
I'll line you up. Just go the way the switches are lined, please.
Okay, I will.
Call this the middle crossover. The one you're looking at now is the lower. So if you turn around, the one I'm throwing for you is the middle.
Okay, that's the middle.
Yeah, the one I'm throwing in the middle, and the signal that you're going to be looking at as soon as you pull across this crossover, that's the eastbound departure lead. So I'll get that lined out for you.
Copy that, thank you.
Roger. It's lined up. So then just pull to clear that middle crossover there and shove her in for north departure 1.
Yeah, I've got to clear out of the yard.
Say that again. Roger, have a safe trip, looking at a time of 1:24 in a PM.
Copy, thanks. 1324 we'll go with.
13, that's a roger, that works too. Should be a fairly easy train you got there, it's mostly empty.
Yeah, it's 24 by 92 load empty, so yeah, okay. I believe I did.
Yeah, you did, I see it, okay. Johan, let me know when you get shoved into clear on north departure 1 and cut away with that. And talk when you're cut away, I'll get you around for another track.
Copy that, I will let you know as soon as I coupled off at north departure 1.
We saw about 10 people on the network, which is still a pretty small group. It's not unusual to have 20 or even 30 people all on at the same time. Coming up on a junction, and I need to slow down to make sure that the switch is thrown for our movement, which we're moving to the left over towards the industry spurs. Heading straight would take us up the Lucerne Valley sub. It's already aligned for our movement, so we continue our shove.
He's going by the Humboldt right now. Mike.
Okay, that just means it's fine. Just let it go to its eventual fate, whatever that is.
We're talking about that train that just went by the yard.
The one that was Colt and the AI that I got out of its predicament of running a red light.
Oh, gotcha. Looks like that Barlack can leave in 20 minutes. $10 minutes now.
We check our work order to see what work we have up this part of the branch. We've got some work at Specialty Minerals and at MCC, Mitsubishi Cement Company. Set outs only, no pickups on this part of the work. These are fairly long spurs, 2,639 feet each. Of course, if you don't have a rail driver, you can just use the HUD to see what your speed is, or you could sit in the locomotive and look at the actual speedometer there. It's a nice feature, though, if you have a rail driver. We turn on the destination tags so we can be sure we know which cars are outbound and which cars belong in the spur. Once again, just like the previous work, we're going to find that a lot of these outbound cars are not scheduled to be picked up by our local. Must be another local coming on later that will pick up those cars. We have only setouts here at these two spurs. We're shoving back because our setouts for specialty minerals are on the tail end of this train, so we'll just leave them right here on this track. One blast of the horn to indicate where reverser is centered and the brakes are set.
$2361 Barstow Yard.
Answering over.
Yeah, by our counter, we're clear of your yard lead on the main track, so I'll turn it back to you to restore AI routing.
0 Roger, thank you.
Double checking our work order and now indicating that we have dropped the 3 empty C14 type hoppers here at Specialty Minerals. We get on board our car and ride the pull. Takes a little bit of power to get started. We've only got a few cars though, so only notch 2 this time. And we're going to go ahead and set out the rest of our setouts on the other track. Line the switch for our movement and get back on board to shove on back to the join.
I'll edit the track, or are you doing that, Joan, on the OC?
I'm sorry?
I'll update the track when you cut away on the OC. I'll update it.
Oh yeah, copy that, Roger. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Stockton cars are on North Departure 1.
So Roger, hey guys, do we still use M as in manifest for symbols? Because I know the depot, or yeah, the high boss said that they've stopped doing them. They
You
use
can
H's
use either
now.
one. I got an M bar still. It's all the same thing. Remember,
Okay.
this sim is way back before they changed that, which was like last year. You can do it either.
Okay, cool.
I mean, the one I have says M bar still, which is fine with me because that's what it is.
Now, on the BNSF train, the technical symbol should be M-Barstow space 1 dash the date, right?
What are you counting the one as
Like a low priority manifest.
These territories are really short. They're not hundreds of miles. I don't know. You can't say they actually used the one or not. I'm gonna look it up to see what it's.
Only reason I was wondering, because that's what we do on Highball. I know we're two completely different servers and we operate things completely different, but I was thinking if that was the proto way of doing it, when are you doing it that way?
Well, let's see. There's just really no number for these for the manifest. When it's talking about section numbers, or in this timetable, which is pretty much 2010, where we are in this sim. It's got grain stuff, intermodal. I guess it could be, regular. One says regular schedule, first section. No, that's not these trains. So you can do it if you want.
Channel switched.
I run light engines, in other words, just the locomotives, on back to finish my work at Southern California Components up ahead. Constantly adjusting my throttle, trying to keep my speed at or below the branch line speed limit of 15 miles an hour. blasts of the horn for the reverse move. Conductor riding on the point as the locomotive reverses onto the cut of cars waiting. The problem we have here is that the cars we're picking up are at the very end of this train, so we'll need to pull the entire cut out, set out the pickups on the branch, and then shove the set outs back up this spur. Set and centered, we can work between the cars, and we've bled all of our air brakes. That's because we're going to do a lot of switching and we're going to use the locomotive brakes only. That just keeps us from having to do a lot of bottling of the air and angle cock work. The only problem with using the air brakes bled is we have to go even more slowly because we can only control the speed of the train with the locomotive or independent brakes. Pretty good climb here. No air in the brakes. The sanders are on. We're on throttle notch 7 or 8 it looks like. I'm pulling with all I've got. The EOT error isn't really an error, it's just telling me that there is no FRED or EOT, end of train device, on the back of this train. We are drawing some serious amperage here. Notice the countdown timer is showing us how many feet of the train remain before our whole train clears the switch. This will help us know when to stop, but of course if we have a man riding on the rear of the train or a switchman or conductor on the ground, it really isn't that important. He'll tell us when we need to stop. Beeping says that the counter has counted down to 0, meaning that we can stop any time, which is easy to do since we're pulling up grade. Taking a walk back to watch our shove and let our engineer know when he needs to stop. As you can see, these cars on the end are empties. This one on the back is bound for SDG, San Diego, then PAS, Pasco, Washington, and RIC, Richmond, California. Finally, a Tulsa car. All of these cars are going to come with us on our outbound trip, so we want to push those all up the branch line until we get to our set outs. We'll separate after the set outs and shove those back up the spur to make our set out. Way in the background you can see a train coming by on the main line.
Hello, Johan.
Good in time for me to leave. Ha.
No, I'm in the shop for a woman.
Well, I gotta go anyway, so.
Did you get train some? What was that train doing there? Just arrived. Oh, nice power come off.
What, the one that the power's coming off?
The whole train was just the power.
Oh my.
Yeah, let's get on there to work and it's engine shop. Got enough to do.
Yeah, I gotta get that off of 115 yet, so I guess it ain't all humped. My bad. Forgot that was there. But yeah, that'll come off. That'll go against with those other cars. There's gonna be almost two full tracks of Phoenixes in the local yard. So yeah, I built up a Phoenix train that'll work perfectly.
Okay, have a look at that.
We shove back up the spur to set out these last cars.
I was gonna hump this next track here on 9, but I don't have time. I have a couple minutes and I gotta get going.
No worries. I'll do all the power and then we'll have a look at it.
Alright, what I got going on now, so that way you know, is North Departure 5, the West Colton. That's going to be ready for power. Trim 1's shoving that in now. Nobody room for power. I'm going to have him leave his power in there on 5 for now, temporarily. He's going to get on Trim 2 with all those Pascos. He's going to shove it in on North Departure 3.
Nice.
And then when he's done with that, he can park the Trim 2 power somewhere, probably back next to the bowl, because I was going to have him parking on the local yard lead, but I was going to have his next move back into the bowl be 115 over to local yard 4, so, or 3, local yard 3.
Okay.
You catch Johan whenever you shove that in on 5 there. Leave your power in the clear, get on that Trim 2, shove that in on 3. You're going to park your power where you got your Trim 1 power next to the hump there. Then you can hop back on Trim 1 power and then talk to Clive, see what he wants you to do. I was going to have you go in then for 115 and pull those Phoenixes for local yard 3, but that's a lot of information to throw at you here, so.
Yeah, it's a lot and real quick information, but Trim 2, I have to park Trim 2 next to the bowl.
That's Roger, after you shove the cars in on North Departure 3.
Roger that.
Then you can hop back on your original set there, Trim 1, and talk to Clive.
Yeah, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna leave here as soon as you get done shoving that. I'll update it. If you can update North Departure 3 in the OC when you shove it in, that'd be great. On the OC there.
Yeah, copy that. If I have questions, I can ask Clive.
Yeah, he'll let you know.
Do you still like to know the tons and the weight?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
It's 4,784 tons.
1 second, let me edit the track here.
4784.
Yep. I got 105 cars, just need loads by empties and then just it's like, yeah, it's all I need. I got everything else.
Okay.
So, give me loads by empties and that'll be it. You copy that, Johan?
I'm sorry?
I need the loads and the empties, and that's all I need then.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
We turn on our countdown timer so we'll know when we've pulled all the way past the spur.
It's, It's 101 empties and 9 loads.
Roger, totaling 110 cars, 9 loads by 101 empties. Alright, thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
6290, not including the power for the length. That's what I got.
We line the switch to let us move back onto the cut of cars that's waiting up the branch for us to tack onto our train.
Stand by, I was already in the other trim.
No, you're good. You're good. I already added it up. It should be right. I'll double check it.
Okay.
Channel switch.
That will do, set and centered. Pulling some serious amps, and the sanders are on just to get 4.5 miles per hour, now 5. Definitely a little great here. I take a look at the train as it comes by to check the destination tags. I want to make sure that all of the cars that I'm hauling are outbound cars. These are tagged BEL for Berlin, New Mexico, definitely outbound. Again, the red means that they're loaded, green is empty, and a shade in between means partially loaded. We got a Tulsa car, Richmond, California car, Pasco, Washington, and that San Diego SDG car on the tail end. So yes, these are all outbound cars. Wouldn't want to go 10 miles back up the main line just to find out we brought back a car we needed to set out. Pulling into the little yard so that we can run around our train. Taking a look here, we see there's 933 feet available for us. As we prepare to run around this cut of cars, we set the handbrakes. We sure don't want them rolling up the branch as soon as we uncouple our locomotives from them. Uncoupling, we need to push back a little bit to free up the pin. That's why the open coupler is yellow. There it went white, meaning we're clear, ready to actually uncouple. Pulling ahead, clear of the cut, and we'll stop short to make sure all the switches are lined for our movement and check out the situation on the main line. Before we check out the mainline traffic, we pull forward as far as we can without fouling it, so if we do have clearance, we can quickly occupy and get off the main line on Main 2.
switched.
Heard channel switched, which means I changed my radio channel so I can now communicate with everybody else on the territory. BNSF 7550 at Hesperia. Is there a dispatcher on duty? Over.
I don't believe so.
Understood. BNSF 7550 to the UP 7836 West. I'm going to open up a switch here near Lugo and Hesperia for just about 1 minute. I should be completely clear before you get anywhere close to Victorville. Is that okay? Can you comply with that? Over. Understood. BNSF 7550 opening up a switch on main 2 between CP Frost and CP Lugo. We just barely touched that switch, so the light would have come on main 2 on the territory, but now everything is restored to normal operating position and we'll clear the main line. The opposing train almost certainly never saw any change in signal aspect. They would have seen a clear or green signal on main 1. UP7836, be advised, all switches hand operated between CP Lugo and CP Frost on main 2 have been restored and line and locked in normal operating positions. So we now let the other train know that the block is clear, there'll be no activity ahead of them, and they can proceed at track speed. And most likely all they saw were clear signals anyway, but we do this as a courtesy to the other trains. If there were a dispatcher on duty, we would have required dispatcher authority to make that move. He would have had to give us clearance to open up that switch.
Yeah, he's way back. He had no issue.
Understood. Just don't want to, open switches in front of trains.
No problem. Better that than not at all.
We come to a stop so our conductor can get off to line our switches, first for the runaround move and then next to set the branch line switch so we're no longer headed up the branch but instead continuing east towards Victorville, still though on the spur track. Since these switches are not on the main line, we can operate them as frequently and however we wish without notifying anybody else. In fact, they don't even show up on the dispatch panel. We now change the DPU setup so that this unit, the 7227, becomes our lead unit as we begin to set up for our eastbound move back to Victorville.
Hey, taking the Mickey, mate.
Headed back to the rear of our train, we're going to close the angle cock on the end so we can begin to fill it with air, and we'll attach the Fred, flashing rear end device. A lot easier than actually carrying an 80-pound Fred back from the locomotive as we would do if this were a real railroad. Notice that now that we have a Fred connected, we no longer have the EOT error, and once the rear of the train starts to move, we see the EOT move light come up on our MFD multifunction display. We see that the UP 7836 West is getting closer, about to knock down that signal at CP Frost and do the flyover onto our track. Since he's coming the opposite direction of us, we're going to need to hold out at the end of this branch line. We're not going to be able to move on to the main line until after he passes. We're using the dynamic brakes here. Those brakes are better for long braking periods of time rather than using the air brakes because there's no friction involved. It converts the traction motors into brakes, a little bit like a Jake brake on a modern diesel truck. Using about 48, now 100 amps of dynamic braking effort. The amp gauge and the ampere readout is in yellow when we're braking. It's in green when we're applying throttle.
Alright, see you guys later.
See you, mate.
See you later. Have a good day, Mike.
See it.
User left your channel.
We adjust the dynamic brake to keep our speed at 15 miles an hour, which is the speed limit for this branch line. Since the UP7836 passed that signal, they never saw it drop to red. However, we want to protect this Main 2 from any other westbound traffic, because when we pull out onto Main 2, we'll be running in the opposite direction, eastbound on the same track. You can see how the dynamic brake lever in the cab moves when the rail driver dynamic brake control is moved. You can also control it with a keyboard or a mouse. You of course don't need to use a rail driver. If you were running an actual locomotive, you'd have your hand on that dynamic brake and you'd be moving it back and forth to regulate your speed. As we prepare to come to a stop at the end of this spur, we turn off the dynamic brake and switch over to air brakes, since the air brakes are better for holding a train at a stop, whereas dynamic brakes are better for constantly adjusting the speed and holding it back. As we come to a stop here, it seems like a natural place to end part 2. It's going to be about 20 minutes before that westbound train passes us, since she's climbing the grade, getting ready to get on towards Cajon Summit. So we'll go ahead and take a break, and we hope you'll join us for part 3.